Hello, welcome back to another episode of Backstage Spotlight. Today we have joining with us the lovely, lovely Meg. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to talk to you today. For those people who don't know you or aren't familiar, do you want to say who you are and what you do?
I am Meg Hateley, and I have just finished playing Sophie Sheridan in Mamma Mia at the Novello Theatre. And I'm a performer. I'm an actor.
Yay. So, have you always known you wanted to perform? When does it go back to?
Um, well, when I was a lot younger, so I grew up actually. Let me start. Let me go from the beginning. My mum's been in musical theatre all my life, and so I've grown up with her being in musicals, and I very much enjoyed being in the theatre with her, but never saw it as something necessarily that I was going to do. I love running. I love doing anything sporty and athletic, and that was the way for me. And then what happened? Well, I then got a thing called Osgood Schlatters in my knee, where the muscle was growing. I know we're going straight in. The muscle started growing faster than me growing as a child, and so basically they were like, you need to stop doing sport. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
okay, that's my love. So I don't really know what I'm doing now. But they had just good timing. There were open auditions for Oliver in the West End at the time, and I went along to that, and I got in there. So I went and played one of the little kids in the show at Drury
oh,
Lane in the
cute.
West End. And as soon as I did that, I was like, oh, actually, maybe this is something I enjoy as well. So then it was kind of from then onwards, I think I knew I liked performing. I didn't think it would necessarily be a career, but it was something that I always wanted to do.
Yeah, so it started way back. How old were you when you did that?
Oh, my God, like infant school, probably
Yeah.
eight or so.
So from then, did you do like out of school stuff that to do with performing?
Yeah, what I went to a place called Jackie Palmer's in High Wycombe, and they run a like I did the little Saturday school there as a kid, um, but very much that was all it was. It was kind of a something just to waste energy. I was a kid that had so much energy, like to put it into doing something with other children was very necessary. Otherwise, I was just on the trampoline all the time, like trying to get rid of it.
The
Um,
trampoline, that's such a throwback. I used to go on it after dinner and looking back, like I do not know how I used to just like do flips after.
how honestly, how are we not sick? Like
My
it
mum
was,
and dad would
yeah.
watch us and be like, "What are you doing? Like you've just had like mac and cheese."
You're like, are you okay? um, so yes, no, I went to Jackie Palmer's, and then I went there instead of doing A levels. They had a course there, an extended BTEC course. So that was then probably at that age was when I was like, oh, okay, I do really want to learn and educate myself further in this field. So then after Jackie Palmer's, I got into Mountview and did the straight acting course there for three
Nice.
years.
Amazing. And
Mm.
obviously your mum, your amazing, amazing mum, was a performer as you grew up. How was that?
Yeah, it's so crazy because I feel like people ask me this and I don't know any different. So for me, it was just what I knew, that she was always in musicals and playing different parts. And I loved having a mum that I could go and see her do her thing. Like I'd go and sit in her dressing room quite often as a child, and really enjoyed being in that environment. And I think that's probably why I felt so comfortable when I started Mamma Mia, because I was like, I know this. This feels like something I know, and people I know. So it was a nice way to have a first major job for sure.
Yeah, nice. I think I remember seeing, was it when you announced Mamma Mia? And there's a video of you doing your homework in the changing room when you were like so young.
Yeah, miming along, miming along to my mum.
That's hysterical. It's so nice that you've had that growing up and that obviously we'll get to it, that you've now had a whole run in the West End in the same show. It's amazing. So,
Proper
Mountview,
full circle. Oh,
real,
Mountview, yeah.
yeah, real full circle moment. But yeah, Mountview, how was your audition experience?
Actually, I have to say, I think Mountview is some of the best value for money for auditions in terms of
Oh,
drama schools, because I say this because like I went into some auditions and you go in, you go out, you're done. And whether you get through to the next round or not, I mean, that's kind of how auditions are, I know, in the real world. However, for Mountview, I remember they were day long things. So you kind of had different different sections of the day were movement and then voice and then research or whatever else. And I thought, actually, the fact that you even have to pay for auditions itself is hard to fund. But then if at least you feel like you're getting something out of it as well, that was another reason why I actually went for that, because I thought at least they understand that you've paid what 60-65 quid or however much it was to audition for them. So yeah, I really enjoyed Mountview's audition.
Good. And did you audition for other places? Like, how did it compare?
Where else did I audition? Well, that's the main thing. I did audition for a few other drama schools. I was definitely going down the straight for musical theatre courses. Um, I did I did the Mountview musical theatre and acting course, which was quite interesting to see how they compared. But yeah, the main thing for me was that, other than, I think maybe Central also had quite a few sections throughout the day that you I don't know, had different teachers and classes, but I just really rated how much I felt I got out of the Mountview audition.
Yeah, that's important, I think. It's important to know that when you're going for auditions, as much as they're auditioning you, you also have to see if the place suits you.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
So your time at Mountview, what was your favorite moment or your most memorable moment from your 3 years?
Ooh, it's really tricky. I feel like I was there at a funny time because um I started and it was in Wood Green still, so it was at the old building,
Oh
which I
yeah.
really loved, really enjoyed it there. And then we moved to the new building, which was also really exciting. And we all had to literally uplift ourselves from Wood Green to Peckham. So finding a whole new area to discover was also really, I mean, it was a challenge, but it was exciting to just be exploring a new area of London. But then third year for me was when COVID happened. So I only got to do one show and then went home. Um, and I think we struggled as a year group a little bit because obviously everyone was at a point where you didn't know when we were coming back. Like, initially people were like, "We'll see you in a couple of weeks," and then suddenly, what, 2 years later, you go, "Okay, I think that's over and done with." So yeah, it was a up and down experience. But what would be my favorite? Um, okay, so I really wanted to do the straight acting course because I was terrified of Shakespeare and didn't have a clue about any of it. And there was a man who came in to direct one of our projects called Richard Cant, who is a brilliant actor in his own right. He does so much, and he's the sort of person that you stick on your TV and you're like, "Oh, there he is again in another episode of something." But he directed me as Lady Macbeth in Macbeth, and it was the first time ever that I was like, "Oh my goodness, I get it. Like, I understand what you love so much about it." And I think his passion and energy towards towards us, but also just towards Shakespeare was like, it's definitely a highlight for me of my whole time there.
It kind of switched your brain chemistry.
Yeah, something like went, "Oh, hello, I get it, I understand."
That's so nice. Um, so when COVID hit, what did you find yourself doing in lockdown?
Wow, I mean, initially I was like, just stay healthy. I feel like everyone was on the same page, just yeah, regroup, get home, and be okay. But initially, obviously, we all had to go and get jobs. So what did I do first? I feel like I've worked my way down the high street now. I've ticked off every like different part-time job I can get. But I was doing the picking and packing at Tesco for most of COVID, in the morning. So the online orders
Oh
and doing
yeah.
that silly o'clock in the morning, which was not a pleasant experience, but you just did what you had to do.
Yeah,
So that was the
exactly.
main thing. We're quite
It's
lucky. I know. Sorry.
Go on, no, you carry on.
No, I was just going to say we're quite lucky as a. There were so many casting people in particular that I felt did reach out to try and, obviously they couldn't set up any kind of auditions, but they do Zoom calls and things like that that made you feel as if you weren't just completely left to your own devices.
Yeah, there was so much online and it was so interesting to see like what different performers did during that time. Like so many people just went and worked, like as you said, at Tesco, and it was just like
Yeah,
back to like stripping it back to basics and everyone just doing like something to bring the money in, which I think's amazing.
yeah,
It was such a hard time for performers to not be able to
yeah.
perform in front
Where
of
were you
thousands.
at during COVID?
So I was doing my A levels.
Oh,
So
okay,
we all had, at this point, like none of the schools had figured out Zoom yet. So, or like
okay.
Teams. So I was sunbathing,
Just enjoying it.
just living my
To be
best
fair,
life.
that first summer was gorgeous as well. I remember everyone being like, "Fine, I'll sit in the garden for a bit."
Yeah, it was like March or something, and it was like 20 degrees out. I was like, get me a drink. I'm gonna sit in the garden. So I actually had quite a nice lockdown. It's quite chilled. And I was still at school, so I didn't work. Still living with my mum and dad. Easy life for me.
Yeah, all right, whatever.
Um, so back to college and when you graduated, did you get an agent straight after college?
Yeah, again, a tricky one with our year group because obviously agents, understandably, were very much like, we're not really taking people on because we don't even know. Well, a lot of them were sort of they were protecting their own clients that they already couldn't find work for them. So why would you
Yeah,
start taking on more people? I did have an agent. I feel as if I've been a bit unsettled with agents, um, or I was a bit unsettled with agents initially because of the whole coming out into lockdown. I just felt like I never managed to create a strong relationship with someone, which for me I think is important for an
yeah,
agent.
really important.
Um, yeah, I feel very happy now, and it's like very much settled post all of this. But it took me a little while to sort of figure out also what I needed in an agent, and knowing because you couldn't really meet people, and so it was all just a bit like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I think unsettled is just the best way to put it. But yes, I think on the whole, everyone did get an agent, whether it was someone they then stayed with for a long time afterwards, I don't know. But yeah, it was tricky. It was hard. We did lots of online showcases and things like that to try and get ourselves out there.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about something similar the other day about how important an agent is, like a two-way relationship. And no matter
Yeah,
how much you want an agent to represent you, they also have to be the right person to fit you and what you want to do.
absolutely, absolutely. And also they all have so many different strengths, and I think unless you, I mean, it's so tricky to know what you want as well. But I think as long as you feel like they're representing you to the best of their ability and that you match well, that's all you can really ask for.
Yeah, for sure. Whereabouts did Mamma Mia come in all of this?
Yes. Okay. So Mamma Mia. Okay, it started actually. They were looking for a Sophie, just a Sophie on tour, and so I initially auditioned for the tour. I don't know when that was now, a few years ago, um, and I got down to the final two for that, and then went to the other girl, Jenna, who is gorgeous and did a bloody fantastic job, and then what did I do? Oh, and then I went and did Panto that year, and the David Grinrod came to come and watch me in Panto, and I was like, "Hello, like who? Why? I wonder why the casting for Mamma Mia are down in Cornwall." Um, so then, in the new year, it then that kind of transpired. They were like, "We'd like to see you for Sophie in town." So then I went through all the audition process again. It was quite funny as well because the first round for in town, they were like, "Bring your own material," and I was like, God, I've sung all of her stuff to you already. Like, do I have to go back to my own songs? I was like, I don't even know what to bring.
Yeah.
bring a bit of Sophie material. But yeah, no, and then it was quite a few rounds and over a few months, and then eventually got the part, which was the most like out of blue experience for me because I never saw myself going into musicals at all. So to have this opportunity has just been a whirlwind, amazing, and I've learned so much. That's for sure.
Yeah, I can only imagine how excited you were when you got like the call. How did your mum react?
I think she knew before me, which is so not fair. Because I think some of the creatives were like, she did really well, and I'm like, oh god. but yeah, I think she was just thrilled for me after the years that we'd had with COVID and everything. It was just an exciting opportunity, and also to have um stability, and that's something that you don't really get, well, that often with straight acting work, because it feels a lot more fleeting with a TV job here or a bit of filming there. Whereas I've been in Mamma Mia for 15 months now, and that's an amazing time to know that I've got work, which was, yeah, blessed for that.
Yeah. And it's so nice to have worked with like multiple cast changes, and whether it be like
Yeah.
ensemble, leads. What would you say? So top three most memorable
Hmm.
moments in the whole of the 15 months on Mamma Mia.
Okay. One's got to just be opening the show,
Oh, for
and the
sure.
fact that Sophie literally does open the show is it's the so terribly nerve-wracking, but also the most exhilarating. And like when you've done it, you're like, oh my god, wow, I did that, I did that. So that definitely would be opening night. Then I had a really amazing opportunity with the two girls, Liv and Tash, who played Sophie's friends in the first cast. We got asked to do a campaign for mental health called Take a Moment, where they photographed us with our eyes closed, and then they put it up on the big billboards. Who was it? Ray Burmiston was the photographer, and they put it on the billboards in like Piccadilly Circus. Is it Piccadilly or where is
Yeah.
it? Leicester Square.
Piccadilly Circus, yeah.
Piccadilly Circus. Yeah, and it was up on the big screen there, and I was like, well, this is so cool. And like for mental health as well, I was just like, what a
Yeah.
nice thing to be involved in. Um, oh my gosh, there's too many moments. Uh, Another amazing one has to be, well, I mean, being involved in the search for Sophie and Sky with the TV show, that was also
Yes.
pretty epic. I feel like my whole time on this contract has been so full of like box ticking moments. So we got flown out to Corfu, and yeah, did an episode out there, which was crazy.
Yeah, I bet that was so exciting.
So exciting, but also so like I had no idea what we were stepping into in terms of like it, because it was a little bit reality TV esque, and
Yeah.
like not really sure the setup and things like that. But yeah, it was very cool. It was very cool.
Yeah, a great thing to be a part of.
Yeah, yeah.
In the show, when you were backstage or like preparing for the show, was there anything that you would do, like any hidden gems in the show that you do every night that the audience wouldn't know about?
Okay, yeah. So at the start of the show, anyone who's in the beginners or like money, and there's lots of people who are sat behind the taverna before the curtain rises, and initially we'd always go for a run around the taverna, so we do that twice. I was like, once would have been enough, I'm sure, but twice, we went around twice. And then there's also a moment in the overture that has like a pause where everyone would do clap clap, and I feel like as soon as you did two claps, you're fine, you're good to go. And that seems to have just continued with every cast, which is so nice. Even casts I've seen on tour, um everyone does the clap, so I'm like, that is clearly something that you just can't help but do.
Yeah, it's nice having those moments that bond you as a cast.
100%, 100%. And also, it's like no matter what day you've had, that almost gets you into gear to be like, come on, then, let's do it. Let's do this show.
Yeah, and it must be hard. Like some performing is that thing where you get up and even if you've had a bad day or like something's bothering you, you just get up and you have to give like a performance, and that can be really
Yeah,
challenging.
especially like it. I love Mamma Mia, and I really do think going to watch it is a form of medicine sometimes, because it's
For
just so
sure.
uplifting and happy. Um, but that's kind of hard to produce when you're the one making the happiness. So it's a bit like a comedian. I mean, not like a comedian at all, but in terms of like when you're the one creating like other people's happiness, and I don't know, if you're struggling that day, it's a lot of energy to try and like get up and go. So yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But what an amazing feeling to be performing in front of a live audience and getting that live
Oh
reaction
my god,
every day.
absolutely. Especially the finale. I That was my favorite part of the show for sure. That you could just see everyone up on their feet and like that gave me so much happiness and so many endorphins, and just you'd finish that and be like, oh yeah, I can go home now. I'm ready to go to bed and go to sleep happy.
And there's just something in the ABBA songs that just everyone, it you can't go away from that show feeling nothing but just joy. It's great.
Absolutely, absolutely, and they're everywhere now. ABBA is everywhere. It's like, you know, I mean, on social media and TikTok and all the sort of music trends, but even like I just walk into a shop and hear it, and I'm like, it's following me.
Yeah, but what an amazing soundtrack Mamma Mia has. What would you say your favorite song to perform is?
um, oh, as a group number, I loved "Gimme Gimme Gimme," the girls' like party number at the hen do. Um, but then to sing would have to be "Name of the Game," just because it was so, I guess, story led and felt like such a moment for Sophie, and everything just sort of flips in that moment. So I was like, yeah, it felt like an achievement to get to that point.
Yeah, all of the songs are so great, especially like how they've put them into the musical. They fit so well. But
Yeah.
that dance scene at the end of Act One is just so much fun to.
Oh, voulez-vous and all of that moment
Oh
when the
yeah,
boys come on
yeah.
as well. I tell you what though, because I mean I'm a mover. I'd say I'm a mover, not a dancer. Strong mover. But watching everyone, the talent on that stage when they do all their individual partner work, I was like, bloody hell, it's amazing. They're so talented.
Yeah, it's great. And that point of the show, you're just like, you're watching it in awe. You're just like, this is just brilliant.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really good. What was your favorite costume?
Ooh. For Sophie, I love the blue skirt, the tie dye skirt with the little blue top as well. And like that feels her most iconic look. Um, but then I'm very grateful that in the finale she's in like her Timberland boots
Yeah.
and jeans and things like that. Because to be honest with you, that's more fun than having to be in heels and a dress or anything to do those finale numbers. But I have to like you have to go with some of the lycra as like somebody else's costume. Oh my god! I mean, I wouldn't want to wear it myself, but fair play. It's pretty epic.
Some of those jumpsuits they have as well are great.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They look so good.
Yeah.
What was the rehearsal process like? How long was it?
Um. Gosh. I think it was. Oh, I know. It was 5 weeks for us, which I think is a week longer than normal. And we were very much, yeah, we were ready by that point. I think maybe when we did the cast change, they only did 4 weeks, and that made more sense because you almost they almost the other way around. Oh my goodness, I can't even remember. I think it's the other way around. We had 4 weeks when I first joined,
Yeah.
and that was a whole like a big cast change. Um, yes, that makes more sense. And then when the cast change happened, they had 5 weeks, and it got to a point like towards the last couple of weeks where they were definitely ready to go, and it was like just biding time a little bit. So I think 4 weeks is probably ideal for that show.
Yeah. It
It was
must have been,
great though.
yeah, I
It,
was gonna say, it must have been like piecing it together must have been so exciting.
yeah, and I remember this makes so much sense. It definitely was 4 weeks for us because when we got to tech, I'd not done anything in order. So I was literally, we started the show and I was like, I don't know. I don't know where I go. I need an arrow or something to just direct me.
That's funny. And watching the show, who was the most unexpected person that came to see the show?
We had Peter Crouch one day. I remember seeing him in the stalls and I was like, he's very tall. We had Chico. Do you remember It's Chico Time? That guy. He
No.
did like dancing on ice when I was a child. I remember that. But he was in the box once. And I remember being because I feel like it's a bit of a thing where you don't really know when people are in, but someone will spot someone and be like, oh my God, did you see that's Chico? And you're like, who? what? What? What's going on? And then my mum came with Jason Donovan because they did Joseph together. and so it was lovely to have him there and support as well. So yeah, we've had some fab people.
Yeah, and it's a great show to bring anyone to.
Literally, I think it's probably, I mean, yeah, it just does appeal to everyone, or there are moments that will appeal to everyone. I feel like as well the dads and the boyfriends get dragged along, and then it's them that end up enjoying it the most anyway. So it's like,
What's your most memorable stage door moment?
oh well, really recently, I've literally just before finishing, someone had made me an amazing scrapbook of all these photos from out my like throughout the whole
Oh,
time I've been there. And I was like, this is better than I'd ever make myself. So that's definitely something I'm gonna hold on to and have to look back on. So thank you, because that was epic. That was
that's so
just so
special.
thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just so much time had been put into it. And I was like, my God, thank you.
What was the fan base like during your 15 months?
I mean, they are there and in full force. Mamma Mia is pretty um but also amazing. There's no they're really kind, and I think it probably is a show that promotes really kind fans, because actually a bit like there's nothing political about the show. There's nothing that's trying to make some huge statement. It's just giving you warmth and laughter and happiness, and that's kind of what they provide back. And they're so brilliant with covers and people like that. The support they offer to the covers in the show is next level, and I think that's just brilliant. Like that should be the case.
Yeah, it's nice to have that support, like network within the show as well.
Absolutely, and they come so often, and I'm like, how do you afford this? Honestly, how can you be here? Like a lot of the time, it's like every week, and I'm just like, what do you do for a living? How are you here again?
Oh, how did you feel leaving the show?
Oh, it's so tricky. I was in such two minds, because as much as I obviously was sad and will miss the people more than anything, um, I did feel like it was my time. Like I'd had over a year there, and I think already in my mind, I knew I'd be done after a year. And then this little extension has been a blessing, so that I've been able to, meet a whole bunch of new people, but also, like, it's been hard work. And actually, I'd do all of it again, because it was such an amazing experience. But I just knew that I was getting more and more run down, and I think my body knew I was finishing soon. So it was like, it's time. You need to you need to go and rest. So part of me was also like, okay, I just knew it was coming, and also the excitement for Stevie and Toby, who have just joined. Like
Yeah.
I was so ready for other people to go and enjoy those parts as well. So it was a nice way to go. Actually, I feel like if I'd have left after the year, I'd have found it a lot harder. But this extension was almost like a really long extended leave.
Did you watch the opening night with Stevie and Toby?
I wasn't there for it. I saw them win. I went to their final, like at the
Yeah.
theatre, but I wasn't there on the opening night. I feel like I'll give it a bit of time, and then I'll hopefully head back, maybe for like the 25th anniversary or something, so that
Yes.
I
When's that
can
coming up?
enjoy. I think that's April time.
Soon then. That will be really good.
Yeah, yeah.
So
They're
what's
fab though. I've seen so many videos of them rehearsing, and they're brilliant. So I can't wait. I actually can't wait to come and see them.
Yeah, it'll be great. So what's next for you then?
Well, I mean, I'm not hugely sure yet. I'm down at the corner shop, doing my part-time work again,
Always.
but I exactly back on the grind. Um, I'd love to head back towards some more straight acting, if I'm honest. Like I have loved Mamma Mia, and I've loved everything that's been, part of this like adventure. But I miss some filming, if I'm honest, and I kind of you can only do that when you're available to. And being in a musical, as I was saying, is amazing, because you've got the commitment of that year, but you are also then there for that year. So yeah, I'm happy to kind of bide my time and just see what this year brings, hopefully with some more straight acting.
Yeah, because you've done some
Don't
TV
make me
work before.
sing. I don't
You
want to
did
sing.
you did some TV work before, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, I did a few little bits of filming before Mamma Mia, which was brilliant. And even that, basically, I just want to keep every door open. And so I've had a
Yeah.
whole experience of musical theatre, and now I just want to kind of relearn and get my head back into the other side of things, just to know that I can still do that as well.
Yeah. It will be nice to do something a bit different.
Yes, yes. Anything that doesn't include ABBA initially would be.
Imagine if they're like, "Can you be in our ABBA documentary?"
So yeah, yeah. I think actually, you know what? Fair enough. I know a lot about it right now, so.
Yeah, you'd be the right person. If you could choose one like dream job to do, what would it be?
I would love to. I'd love to do a series. I mean, like Sex Education, or one of
What a
those
good
sort of
TV show.
up and coming, like and being around that many young people or similar age would also be amazing.
Yeah.
Um, Oh, I really love like a proper gritty drama, like the like BBC stuff. That's
Yeah.
what I enjoy watching. So if I could be involved in one of those, I'd also really enjoy that. I love telling true stories. So hopefully at some point in my life it can be something that's at least based off a true story.
Yeah.
Like the post office, all of that that's been going on recently, it's been mind blowing to me. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen it, but I've
There's
heard so many people talk about it.
it is brilliant, and I went into my local post office and they were saying how they've just been given more money because of it, and I'm like, huh, that's great, like the fact that it's affected that in such a positive way.
Yeah, that's so good and would be so interesting to do.
Yeah, definitely.
So the last question I always ask all my podcast guests is if
Yeah.
you could nominate one person from the industry, it can be behind the scenes or on stage, to come on my podcast and I'll
Ooh.
reach out to them, who would it be?
You should reach out to, we call him Kylie, but his name is Neil Copley, who works as part of the stage management at Mamma Mia, because he's been there for years. And one, I think he'd have brilliant stories, but he's also the nicest man ever. And yeah, he'd be a good guest.
That sounds really fun. I will definitely reach out to him. Thank you so much, Meg. You've been a dream. I've loved talking to you, and I hope that everyone listening has enjoyed this episode. Please rate the podcast a 5-star on Spotify, and we're also streaming on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. So make sure you check out all the other episodes too. Meg, thank you so much. I hope you have a lovely rest of your
Thank
evening.
you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Speak to you soon.